Hey, lovers. Welcome to the Book Lovers Club, the podcast where we celebrate Black Sapphic love stories, one book at a time. I'm your host, Joy, a married lesbian, lifelong book lover, and relational communication scholar. Here, we don't just read the romance, we learn from it. I believe that love stories can do more than just entertain us. They can teach us how to love better, how to see ourselves more clearly, and how to create the love life of our dreams. Each week, I'll dive into sapphic stories written for us and by us, while weaving in personal insights and communication lessons you can take off the page. So grab your drink, get cozy, and let's turn the page together. Welcome to the club. Hey, book lovers. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Lovers Club. I am so excited to be back with y'all this week. We got one more week of discussing our October book pick before we move on to something else, okay? And I'm really excited about that. This book was good though. Low key, I'm about to jump right back into the sequel, but I'm trying to wait until the book club meeting to see if the book club wants to read the sequel for our November book pick. But I've been getting the impression that they're ready for something spicier. So we might be transitioning out of the young adult space for November. I'm actually leaning towards our November pick being A Little Kissing Between Friends because the book came up in our last book club meeting because we had read the author's other book. So then, someone was like, well, I read her other book and that book is spicy. So I don't know. I've gotten a feeling like people have been reaching out. I think they're wanting something more spicy. But I'm going to leave it to the book club to vote for our next book read. So I'm really curious to see what they're interested in and which direction that we want to go in. But I have a couple of recommendations, some things that we may choose for November. But I'll leave it up to the group and let them vote on it and let them decide. If you want to weigh in on what we read for November, please hit me up on socials if you got some recommendations or books that we should consider. I am slowly working my way through the 10 Before the End Black Sapphic Challenge that I launched on Storygraph. So I have been reading some more books, just throughout the month because I read pretty fast, like I told y'all. So I've been dragging out the book that we're reading for this podcast. However, I've been reading additional books. So I finished Bite Me Twice by J.S. Jasper. I told y'all last week that I was reading it and I just finished that book. Y'all, that book was very cute. It's a novella, so it was short and sweet, but it was spicy too. I think because it wasn't long enough, I feel like it didn't develop for me, but that was the whole purpose. That was the intention of the book, for it to be short and sweet. But I felt like because of that, it wasn't quite a 5-star for me, but it's good. And if you want something that's spicy, I would recommend that book now that I finished it. I've transitioned into Granger's catalog. So I'm reading right now The Secret World of Maggie Gray. And y'all, I am a fan. I think this is about to take over the rest of my October. I'm going to read the rest of the books in this series. It's so good. It's a HBCU for Black supernaturals. So it's given, I hate when people reference books in relationship to Harry Potter, but it really is given that. So it really is given that, but it's good. And I like her writing style. Like it captured me from the moment I opened the book. So I'm gone down the rabbit hole. I don't want to give y'all too many spoilers because I really would love y'all to read that book too. It's good. So I don't know if I'm going to get to the rest of these books that I was planning to read this month. I really do want to read Immortal Dark because the sequel to Immortal Dark is coming out in November. So I really need to refresh my memory and read the first book because I want to buy the sequel and read that book. But I started that book before on audiobook. So I was trying to do like an immersive read where I was reading the book while listening to the audiobook at the same time. But life got real and I didn't finish it. And I was like 75% through the book. And I just kind of kept going because it was like right before we were getting married and it was a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I like slowed down on some of my reading so I didn't finish the book. But I'm going to read that. My goal is to like get that book done before the sequel comes out. But the way Granger has taken over, like I'm hooked. I really want to read more. and I am sucked in. So her pen game is crazy. I like really enjoy it, and I like how the chapters switch between characters and multiple point of views, and just how she's developing this world. Like, I am a fan. Okay, it's good. It is really good. But back to this book. So, for those that are new, we are reading This Poison Heart by Kalynn Bayron. One thing I've been having to do while reading this book, I've been Googling the pronunciation of everything. I don't know how to pronounce none of these names, flowers, people, anything. Okay, so I'll go and Google, like I'll look up the name and then type in pronunciation to see if a video will pop up to show me how to pronounce that. But I couldn't pronounce the characters' names. That's why I've been calling her Bree, but I believe it's pronounced Briseis because it's from Greek mythology. But even with that, I've had to go and look up all of the terminology and names of plants and flowers and Googling things. But y'all know, low key, I love that. Like, I love when a story is educating me on something. So I've learned so much about Greek mythology and these plants and stuff while reading this book, okay? But where I am in the story right now, low key, the book is giving me trust issues, okay? I don't know who to trust. Our girl don't know who to trust. And I'm almost done with the book, so I've been dragging it out so that it's fresh in my mind, and I've been keeping notes as I'm going so that I could really like chat about this book and yap about this book at the next book club meeting. And then the next episode, my homegirl San, she gonna join me again, and we're gonna like discuss the book in real time. I love recording with her. Okay, we get to bring that Let's Be Real Boo energy up in here. And I don't know if any of y'all had a chance to like go and check out our old podcast and listen to some of our old episodes. I don't know if we're going to revive it, but we are enjoying recording with each other again. Like, that is my girl for life. That is my sister. Okay, my soror, my bestie, my sis. And I love when she joins me on this. So we're going to keep this going like every month. When it's the end of the month and it's time for us to like discuss this book, she's going to join me for an episode and we're going to like talk about the book together. So I'm excited. That'll be the next episode. She'll be joining me and we'll be talking. But you know, this week, before, I usually go and recap my week, but low key, it hasn't been a lot going on. I do have like a tiny victory to share, and it's tiny to some, but it's major to me. But I have surpassed 150 streams on my podcast. Okay, so people are actually listening to me. So I'm just very grateful. Thank you to everybody who's taken their time out of their day to listen to me yap about books and go off on tangents and talking about everything and in between. So I just thank y'all. I appreciate you for listening to me. But yeah, I have surpassed 150 streams. I'm very proud. Okay, I'm very proud. My first like major milestone that I wanted to achieve on the podcast was 100 streams, and I've surpassed that. So I'm just really excited. Just know, once I hit 1,000, it's a turn up. I'm like gonna go out and celebrate for real once I hit 1,000 streams. But we all got to start somewhere, okay? It's some people out here that put out content all the time and nobody listens to it. So I'm just grateful I got people listening to me, okay? Because I be in here cutting up and just talking about whatever. And y'all are rocking with me. I will say social media has helped a lot. I've been building this page and platform from scratch. And although I have more followers on Instagram, the engagement is coming from TikTok. Most of the people who found me that are listening to me, that have been coming to my in-person book club meetings, that are, really supporting my podcast, are coming from TikTok. So I just want to say I'm grateful for y'all for, the algorithm getting me in your orbit, and that y'all are finding me and listening to me, and you are resonating with some of the things that I'm saying. I've been posting some clips onto social media, and I'm just enjoying like the dialogue. That post I had shared about my thoughts regarding Buffy and high schoolers juggling supernatural powers while being in school really got the people going. People were arguing with me like they're trying to lead a normal life. I get you. I understand. But there are so many ways to infuse normalcy in your life without having to be in school every day. But I just enjoyed the conversation and the dialogue. So y'all are listening to me. People are letting me know that they're listening to me. And I'm just so grateful because I do not have a co-host all the time. Like, I've been inviting people to come on air with me. So I may have more people that'll join me for episodes in the future. But for the most part, this is me talking to y'all, me vibing with y'all directly. And I try my best to be up in here and bring good vibes. Like, I do not like a boring podcast, okay? So, and sometimes people be yapping about stuff, and like, not everybody's hot take is going to take. Like, sometimes the things that you say on here don't land. And I'm just grateful that regardless, like y'all are giving me the space to expand and grow and develop with this. And remember what I said in that first episode, we're focused on progress, not perfection. And y'all are rocking with me, and I appreciate that because this authenticity is real. I'm a real bitch. Okay? I'm a real bitch. This is no performance. Y'all are really getting me. Okay? And I, that's a gift and a curse. Like, but I'm bringing my true self to this space. So I just am grateful that y'all have made this a safe space for me to do that. So, with that, I know I always talk about gratitude, but I am somebody that centers myself in gratitude, especially when times are tough. Okay? And I feel like we are living through some tough times. And what has really been helping me persevere and to just stay resilient is to center myself in gratitude. So every day I just think of things that I'm just really appreciative for because it helps me keep like just a positive mindset. And I'm not trying to promote toxic positivity, but I cannot just wallow and sit in my negative thoughts. Okay, we all have them. And it's just so much going on right now and a lot of uncertainty about the future and what the future will bring. And like I said, what really helps me get through tough times and difficult times is to really focus on the things that I'm grateful for. And this podcast and platform that I'm building, this is something that I'm very grateful for. Y'all may not know, but I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had a lot of different side hustles and businesses my entire life. Okay. My nickname when I was growing up in my family was Hustle Man. I've had so many businesses over the years, and my grandpa used to love that about me, okay? But when I was younger, I made jewelry. I still dabble in jewelry making, and I did that in undergrad, and it really got me through school. So anytime I hit a financial bind, I am not above monetizing one of these million skills that I got to get me through that financial hardship, okay? But when I was younger, I was making jewelry, and I used to take t-shirts and cut them up and sew them and make clothing for baby dolls. I used to write poems and sell them. So, like when I was in high school, sometimes the guys would want to have a poem to give to a girl that they was talking to. They could ask me, and I'll write it for them, and then they could go ahead and give it like they wrote it. Look, I had a ton of side hustles, okay. But when I was younger, that jewelry making business that I had, I would bring a box of jewelry that I made to family functions and would sell it to the family. I even had a layaway plan. So I had a little notebook, and then I would put what people asked for in there, how much I charged them, and then they could make payments, and I would keep track of their payments and all of that stuff. Like when I tell you I've been about this entrepreneurship life, I've been about it. It's in me. Okay. I guess it's because I'm a Capricorn. Capricorns love to make money, baby. Okay. And one thing I don't play about is my work ethic. I'm gonna get some shit done. Okay, but yeah, I done had a jewelry making business. I used to sell crochet bikinis. When I was in undergrad, I taught myself how to make bikinis, and I was selling those bikinis in like crochet lingerie to my mother's coworkers. And then I started crocheting jewelry and accessories, and I was selling those on MySpace and Big Cartel. I don't know if y'all remember that website, but it was a website. I don't know if it still exists, but it's called Big Cartel. And I had a storefront on there, and I was selling jewelry. And Brandy, the singer, she ended up in a pair of my earrings on TV one day because a girl in her network brought some earrings from me off of MySpace and then gave them to her. So I remember we were all watching. She had a reality TV show with Ray J, and I know we were all watching it. And then my phone started blowing up. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, Brandy's wearing your earrings," And that's when I was selling on MySpace. But my jewelry line was called Spunky Punk Accessories, and I even had a consignment arrangement in a boutique that one of my professors hooked me up with. So I had wore my earrings to class, and she had asked me like, "Oh my God, where you get those earrings from?" And low key, I thought she was a student. She looked so young, and we were like talking outside of class in the hallway, and she was asking me about my earrings and stuff. So We walk into the class and she go to the front. I'm like, you my professor? It was so wild. I really thought she was a student like me. But she had loved my earrings. She wanted to buy them off of me, y'all. And she was like, I'm gonna hook you up with my friend who has a boutique on the north side. And she did. She got me connected to her friend, and I was selling my jewelry in her boutique and selling jewelry online. But then I was getting so much business. Like, this is a good problem to have. I was getting so much business that it was very difficult to maintain the demand for the business while being a full-time student. And it was starting to impact my schoolwork. So I had to make a choice. Like, so I had stopped making the jewelry because I was starting to get into customs and all this stuff and making things, but it was so difficult to juggle doing that while I was in school. I at one point had a business where I was selling travel apparel, like travel themed t-shirts and things, and then I went in a different direction, which was selling handmade hula hoops. And that business actually landed me in the Wall Street Journal. So a journalist had reached out to me on social media and asked if they could interview me. I thought it was a scam, y'all. I didn't think it was legit. But a journalist reached out and said, "Hey, we see what you're doing and what you're building online. Do you mind if we interview you?" It was real. So the article, they hit me up and said, "Hey, the article is live," and it was in the Wall Street Journal. And then I ended up on the news for my hula hooping business, like all these things. But then I started having issues with my hip, and like the frequency, the repetition of the movement and things that were happening was causing issues with my mobility. So I slowed down with that. And then I also realized, like, not everything needs to be monetized. My hula hooping practice and the things that I'm doing for my wellness, I learned that that's something that I really want to reserve for me. Like, that's something that I do for me, that to maintain my health, my mental health, my physical health, and something I do for fun. And I no longer want to monetize it. So I'm not doing that as my like main brand anymore. But reading and talking about books and sharing my love of reading, this is something that I do so organically and so comfortably that I'm just really excited to do this. And so far, I feel like it's been nothing but signs and support and things from God and from the universe to let me know that I'm on the right path. So I'm very excited about this. But like I said, I've been dabbling in entrepreneurship. Like, I even had a DJ business at one point. So I learned how to DJ during the pandemic. Because y'all know, I just love art and creating things and trying new things. So one thing I'm going to do is sign up for a class, okay? And really explore my creative interests. So I had took a DJ program while we were in the pandemic and learned how to DJ. And then I started getting gigs and started DJing. And that's how I learned that I didn't really like it. I like to DJ. However, I get energetically drained. You know how some people could be in crowds and they could feed off the crowd and they can do that. However, with me, I was leaving my DJ sets feeling very drained and I couldn't function for days afterwards. And that's another thing that I realized that I like to just do as a hobby. It's not something that I want to monetize and pursue professionally. It's just something I want to do for fun. So now I just mainly DJ family events and do it for fun. But, I may pick it back up. Who knows? Like I said, I got a lot of little artistic, creative interests and skills that I've acquired over my life. And I may pick them up, put them down. I will go where my energy flows. Okay. But I went on a whole tangent. The whole purpose of this was to let y'all know that I am not a stranger to entrepreneurship and starting brands. And I'm really passionate about this. And I feel like I'm on the right path. And this is what I should be doing right now. Okay. So, with that, let's get into the book. Okay. I done went on a long enough tangent, talked about everything but the book. Let's talk about the book. Okay. So, where we are in the story, like I said, is that I'm starting to have some trust issues. I don't know if we should trust Carter. And I just feel like she has disclosed so much to him and Marie so soon into knowing them. And it doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's because I'm very private. I'm very private. Despite the fact that I be on here telling y'all my business on this podcast, I am very private. So I don't know. It just seems very foreign to me that she spent so much time and energy concealing these things about herself while she was in Brooklyn. And then she moves to this town and befriends this boy. And he tells her a little sob story about him and Mommy Dearest. And now she about to bust it all open, bust it wide open, telling all her business, all her tea to him. And it just got me thinking about, self disclosure and how often this happens to people, okay, where we tend to overshare. And there's some theories that relate to that. So there's this theory called social penetration theory, which talks about how relationships develop in layers like an onion, okay? And this always makes me think about Shrek because Shrek said ogres have layers like onions. And he was low key dropping gems on y'all, okay? But when we're disclosing things about ourselves and getting to know people and developing relationships, it happens in layers. So we will share a little bit of some shallow, surface level information at first. And then once we realize, and we learn that you're trustworthy and you're someone that we can disclose more to, that's when we deepen the relationship and we disclose more and we open ourselves up more and we share. I feel like a lot of people skip steps, okay? They jump right into relationships and just tell all their business up front. I feel like because she's in this situation where there's a lot of uncertainty around what's going on and she just moved to this town, she's trying to learn more about who she is, where she comes from, her ancestors and things like that, that he showed her some kindness. And like I mentioned last week, people mirror and mimic the behaviors of those around them. So because he opened up and he shared a little bit about himself and was vulnerable and talking to her about his mother, now she feels like he's a safe space. He's someone that I can open up to, and she mirrors that behavior. But her tea is way more piping hot than his. I'm like, tell them your favorite color, sis. Tell them something surface level. But to go into all of these details about her abilities and really to let him in when we haven't vetted him for real, I don't know. It's just giving me a pause. It's just giving me pause. It's making me a little nervous that she's just getting too close to him too soon. And Marie was lurking around the house. And now we kicking it with her. I don't know. I just, like I said, I have not gotten to the end of the story yet, so I don't know. But just where I am at right now in the story, my spidey senses are going off. And I really wanted to talk to y'all about self disclosure and opening up because I just feel like sometimes we give too much of ourselves into relationships too soon and we share too much. And I know that sometimes when people are like Bree and kind of thirsty for companionship and thirsty for friends, because she hasn't had any up until now. That's why, it doesn't make sense to me. She fought so hard to keep this part of herself a secret while she was in Brooklyn. One, I also think she's fatigued from doing that. She has distanced herself and has lost some friends because of having to hide who she really is from them and keep this part of herself a secret, that she don't really want to do that. And there's this other theory called uncertainty reduction theory, which states that, when we're in situations where we're facing a lot of uncertainty, we feel pressure to communicate to reduce that uncertainty. So I think that this creates the perfect, if we look at these two theories and how they're impacting the situation, she's moving to this town facing a lot of uncertainty around who she is, her ancestry. She inherits this house. It's got all these breadcrumbs around who her mother and her aunt is and her lineage and things like that. And then also a lot of uncertainty around the town and the people that she's meeting. And she keeps encountering people where it seems like they know more about her than she does because they are familiar with her mom and aunt, the people who lived in this residence before her, and the type of business that they used to conduct and all of these things. In some ways, she feels like she's entering this situation very on rocky ground. And she meets this person, meets this boy who shows her some kindness and is vulnerable with her, that it makes her feel like she needs to reciprocate that vulnerability and open herself up to him. And also when people start to disclose to you their business and they share with you, there is this desire to share and reciprocate that and to like open up as well. And it makes you feel safe to do so. How many times have y'all met a stranger and you start telling them your life story? And maybe it's not you. Maybe you're not the person that's telling your life story to the stranger. Maybe you were the stranger that the person started telling their life story to. But sometimes people feel more comfortable doing that because they know they're not going to see you again. And they see you as a safe space. Like you go to the bar, you get drunk, and you're telling a stranger all your business. Okay. But you're not going to see them again, especially in the girls' bathroom. The girls' bathroom at a bar or a club is lit. Okay, I always make friends in the girls' bathroom, but we be in there talking about everything. Okay, giving each other advice, unpacking stuff. But you're not gonna see those people anymore. I just feel like she's jumped in and has disclosed such a big secret. As secrets plural, and I'm just so nervous for her because it's like we don't really know him, sis. We don't really know him. But I know people do that all the time. Like, and when, like I said, when you're thirsty and desperate for connection and for relationships, sometimes you may feel pressure to do that and to forge that connection and forge that bond with them because you want a friend, you know? And I think even at one point in the book, she has said, like, I'm trying to not have secrets so that I can maintain this relationship. Holding secrets and having secrets caused me to lose friends in the past. She's like oversharing because of this desire to maintain these friendships. But sometimes you will share and give people all this information and you don't know how they're going to use it. And low key, you're giving, sometimes, depending on the person, they're not a safe space and it's ammunition. Like they're going to use that against you. And I think all of us may have had moments where we felt like we overshared and we gave somebody too much information about ourselves. And that's all. I just feel like I don't know if we should trust him just yet. Like this book, like I said, is really giving me some trust issues with some of these characters. Like Marie, I don't know how I feel about her and the direction that we're going in. Okay? I don't know if these are people that she should be leaning on. And so far, everybody that she done came in contact with has given me pause. I'm like, are these people low key the ops, girl? And I just feel like she just been so trusting, so trusting. Meanwhile, her moms have been rocking with her from the moment that this book started. Okay? And she's keeping secrets from them. They have given you no reason to think that they wouldn't hold you down. Okay, they've been super supportive from the very beginning. But she telling these strangers all her business, but keeping all these secrets from the people who really do love and support her. So I just hope this don't come back to bite my girl in the ass. But what do y'all think? Like, do y'all have any suspicions about some of these characters? Like, are your spidey senses going off like mine? But I'm just not really sure if this is the right move for her to be disclosing so much of herself so soon with people that she just met, especially when it's so much suspicious things that are happening. Sometimes there are people out here that do disclose things intentionally as a form of manipulation to get you to feel comfortable with them so that you start to open up and tell them the information that they're seeking about you. It's a lot of scammers out here. It's a lot of people that prey on people. I know y'all heard the term love bombing, but sometimes people do this, like they will share and open up to you. If you really peel back what they're sharing, they're really not telling you nothing that deep. But because they opened up and disclosed to you, now you feel pressure to do the same. But you're telling them way more information about you than they are about them. And sometimes people do this as a form of manipulation to get information out of you. And you do have to be careful. And I know that a lot of us, in our desire to form community, can be vulnerable in that aspect where we'll attach ourselves to people too soon. I think lesbians are especially prone to this. Like we joke all the time about U-hauling and things like that, but there is this stereotype of lesbians to get attached to partners very fast and to move very quickly, like be moving in with each other by the second week of knowing somebody. And I am someone that really has to vet a person. It takes me a while to feel someone out. I really got to get a feel for you and figure out if you're somebody I should trust. And if you're someone who don't ever disclose personal information to me or tell me things about you, I definitely don't feel comfortable doing the same. I'm not finna tell you all my business and you don't feel comfortable telling me yours. Like, it's got to at least be a mutual exchange. But I do feel like there is this stereotype amongst lesbians that we get attached very fast. And I think that's because, like, on the first date, people over here opening up, telling their whole life story, telling all this very vulnerable information, and that makes people feel closer. They forge a bond really fast because of that. But then when life gets real, and y'all move so fast, you realize, like, I don't really know you. Look at how many people broke up in the pandemic. People thought they really knew their partners until they had to be quarantined with them motherfuckers, okay? And now you with this person every day and living with them 24/7, ain't got no reprieve. Y'all just in the house together 24/7. And you realize, like, I do not like you. I don't even know you. I didn't know you did this. A lot of people move really fast. And once they hit a real test, a hardship in their relationship, the foundation that they built their relationship on was faulty, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship. If you get so close so soon, without really vetting somebody, that could really blow up in your face. And like I said, a lot of us in our quest for community and our desire for connection can become vulnerable to building relationships too soon and disclosing and revealing and sharing so much of ourselves too soon with the wrong people. Okay, so I just want y'all to think about that. I don't know, like I said, this book has given me some trust issues, but I'm finna wrap it up. I'm gonna finish these last couple of chapters and finish the book, and then next week we'll discuss it and get a deep dive. But if you want to join the conversation and reflect on this book with us, please find me on social media. Some of y'all have, so I've been talking to some of y'all on socials. We've been DMing, we've been talking in the comments and stuff. But come and find me and let me know your thoughts about the book. And if you have any recommendations for me, please, I welcome all the book recommendations, all right? But I'm going to leave it up to the book club to weigh in on what our November book pick is going to be. But I think we might swing the pendulum back over to something spicy. But I have really enjoyed this book so far, and I'm going to read the sequel next. But I appreciate y'all for listening to me. We are 150 plus streams. It's only up from here. All right. And I'm grateful. Thank you for tuning in to the Book Lovers Club. If you love today's episode, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a chapter. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review, because those reviews help other lovers find us. So if you want to keep this conversation going, please join me on Instagram or hop on over to Fable to join the virtual book club. And until next time, remember, the stories we read can help us write the love lives of our dreams. See you next Sapphic Saturday.